Back in a time when there was still a Blockbuster up the road from my high school, I walked in and rented the recently released Scholarship Edition of Bully for the Xbox 360. Bully was developed by Rockstar Vancouver and released of October of 2006 for the PlayStation 2 and Xbox. The game followed troublesome youth James Jimmy Hopkins in his attempt to wage war on the different factions of Bulworth Academy. It received positive reviews for its risque yet entertaining story and expansive gameplay. The version I played was a Scholarship remaster for the Xbox 360 and PS3. The first thing I noticed about the game was how it pushes the T for teen rating to the absolute end of its official categorization. Bully is everything short of a GTA experience by replacing swearing with awful high school insults, illicit illegal activity with scandalous pranks, crime bosses with alcoholic teachers, and guns with slingshots. Little did I know that a game about a troublesome teen waging war against the different factions of Bulworth Academy would have such a lasting hold on my life as a gamer. And that is how far I got when I started writing this article back in 2016. And despite my high hopes, I didn't beat the game that weekend like I thought I would. I was so confident that I even had this nifty little title all worked out like the indulgent sap I am. No, I wouldn't be beating the game until February of 2020. All I had left was 3 more missions completing the 5th and final chapter. I took so long to beat this at the time next-gen console remaster that they were able to release another next-gen console remaster of this remaster. You can even play the game on your phone now. Your phone! So you might be asking yourself, why did it take me another 4 years to beat a game that had already taken me 8 so far? Well, would you believe it? This is the single greatest case of procrastination ever done in my entire life? You would be wrong, because I still haven't beaten KOTOR, and I started my first attempt back in 2005. So this is going to be a retrospective about the game and how it has been with me through moments of my life. Instead of dragging this out like I usually do, I'm going to try and go through these periods as quickly as possible before I give my final critique of the game. 2008. I rented this game from Blockbuster at 17 years old, and much like Blockbuster, my dreams hadn't been crushed into non-existence yet. I got all the way to the final 10 missions, but then I had to return the game because I had spent too much time kicking soccer balls and getting the achievement for traveling 50,000 meters on my skateboard. Because even in high school, I knew exactly what the real priorities in life were. Completely meaningless points on a game system. During this 1-week rental period, I noticed that the game was a tamer version of GTA, but still kept a lot of the elements that made those games so iconic. The story writing / mission design had you acting as a childish bad boy, with elements of 80s college humor scattered throughout. Even though the game had a visual style of the 80s with the building architecture, the clothing, the food, the consumption, it had an air of modernism stealthily slid into elements of dialogue and character motivations. While some levels certainly outshone others, they were still quick, enjoyable, and kept the feeling of humor and fun. And that skateboard. My god, this skateboard. Did you know that in the initial development, Rockstar Vancouver was nearing the end of the game's overall complete development, until some guy on the design team suggested that they put a skateboard in it, which added almost another 2 years to the development. 2014. The game had been released for free on the Xbox store for the 360. This was around the time that Microsoft finally clued into Xbox gamers complaining about how Microsoft wasn't doing a free game giveaway like Sony was doing. So they decided, hey, let's do that, but let's do half the number of games. Not to mention varying up the titles from some pretty solid games to some utter garbage titles. I was still living at home at the time, but I was writing for the university newspaper as a video game columnist, so I thought, hey, wouldn't it be fun to talk about Rockstar's history and maybe beat Bully? Finally? I tried to continue from where I left off. It took about 10 minutes in before I concluded that I couldn't remember shit about the story or where it was going or what was going on. So I decided to start the game over. I refreshed myself of all the characters in the story. The main protagonist, Jimmy, essentially Bart Simpson if he didn't have any of the emotional grounding from his mother and sister, but still the constant physical abuse from his father.
James? What? Who are you? Mom, I thought you told me never to talk to strangers.
Like I said before, Jimmy, please be nice to your new stepfather.
We get to meet a variety of characters like Pete. Pete sucks. Then you meet Gary, who is a goddamn psychopath. If they did a remake of 13 Reasons Why in this universe, he would be the main proponent of the story. But he wouldn't kill himself and send out tapes to make people feel guilty. No. He would be sending out these tapes to people he would be intent on murdering after he sets off a chemical bomb in the school. This character might have been the inspiration for Trevor, for all I know. He is that much off his rocker. There are other characters in this game like teachers, preps, jocks, greasers, other stuff that sets up the stereotype college setting, but they don't hold a goddamn candle to this guy in terms of balls to the wall crazy. Which makes the ending of the game all the more goddamn tragic. 1753. Now this is the point where I somehow unlocked time travel and went back to 1753. I am living out this game in the genes of my ancestors, but instead of gathering the hay and squeezing the milk, I'm that useless family member playing bully on their future Tech 360 just to get a couple of pointless achievements like mowing or traveling on a bicycle. Cause you know, traveling around the map over and over wasn't fun enough on the skateboard, now it's time to do it on a fucking bicycle. For even longer! It was at this point though that I realized that the map is actually pretty damn good. Even though you couldn't place destination points like every other game we have now, you could become so well versed with the map that you would know it like the back of your hand. Of all the open world games, I would say this is one of the best from Rockstar. Not only because it's one of the smaller ones, but every area is distinct and well used in the overall game's story. For example, LA Noire has an amazing recreation of classic Los Angeles, nearly building for building rebuild. But you barely see any of it because the game doesn't really give you a reason to do so. Bully does just that. Probably because they had all that extra development time to add in the one fucking skateboard. 2016. I finally moved out, but I'm still finishing up university. I get talking with some fellow classmates and Bully gets brought up because we're talking about things we never got to finish. They are talking about opportunities in life, whereas I'm thinking about a video game because, you know, that's what really matters to us sentimental types. I remember starting this article back in 2014 and decided to finally finish it for my own sake. I blow the dust off the 360 and start it up again. I can feel it. I know the end of this journey is near. I've reached the same point in the story I was back in 2008. Why then didn't I just finish it right there? I was only 3 missions away. Well, I put my efforts to what was most important. Like getting the achievements for winning all the bike races, errand missions, and you guessed it, traveling 100,000 meters on foot. A full 100 kilometers on foot. Running around this map once again over and over and over just to get a measly 25 achievement points. I swear to God I will never forget this map for as long as I live. But along the way, I continued the story to its near climax. I had pissed off every group in the school, including the teachers, which is unfortunate because I had completed nearly all of the classes. You know, for something that should have been boring or a wasted element, they actually tried to make the classes engaging, but they also made them short. The game's entire premise can be compared to the mechanics of these classes. It's a compact, teenage version of big games like GTA. The level of precision in the game's design is actually quite exceptional. Nothing is too long, too drawn out. It all runs smoothly from one activity/mission to the next. It's taken all the extra fat from GTA, trimmed it down to a nice, quick experience, which makes you think I would have finally beaten it, right? Wrong. I took a job as a newspaper reporter in 100 Mile House in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, and I slowly lost my mind. There was no internet or cable at my house, so I was living off of 5 gigabytes of internet a month on my phone, which led to me staying at the office well after everyone else had left so I could use the internet for personal stuff. Even though it was so damn slow at the time, we actually had to shrink our news article images down to 400 by whatever, just so they could be uploaded to the website quickly. I'm not fucking joking. I once uploaded a raw review of an episode from a television show I was reviewing, and it slowed down the entire internet for the whole day. It took 8 hours to upload a single gigabyte video onto YouTube. On a landline. 2020. It's February of 2020, and I literally have a few hours to spare at my fiance's house before she gets home from work. So I booted up, finished the last 3 levels, and beat the game. Dan Houser, one of the co-founders of Rockstar, and the main writer for nearly all of their games, including Bully, has announced he is leaving the company. That didn't have any effect on me wanting to finish the game. I'm just pointing out how it took me for fucking ever to finish this damn game. However, even though it had been 4 years since I had last actually played the game, I could remember the controls and the combat and picked up what I had forgotten quite quickly. I remember the XX hold X combat routine. I was able to flip through the items from the skateboard to others like that, which, by the way, the inventory system should be commended for being very, very accessible and very fun to use. And I beat Gary in a fight that was essentially a tutorial level in terms of difficulty. There was a boss guy you fought before Gary, this Edgar fellow who I couldn't remember now because it's been 6 damn years since I really paid attention to the plot, who had an actual good mission to him. The fight with him was actually quite difficult, and this is not a joke. I actually had to put effort into fighting him with items like shields and pipes. We had our own duel of the fates, but with giant metal tubes. Overall, I can honestly say that Bully is one of the best games that Rockstar ever made. It was its own version of GTA, but with actual thought and process into making sure it wasn't just a GTA clone. It had its own atmosphere and gameplay aspects. It was simple but engaging, fun but never tedious. The story had a lot of great humor, callbacks to movies or other inspired media, and it had a villain that, aside from being beaten up like a punk-ass little bitch, is probably one of Rockstar's greatest characters. Oh well, it's over now. It took me over 12 years, but I finally finished the game. I even finished the 2 random epilogue missions where you steal bikes and smash mailboxes for this crazy skinhead who, of course, I can't remember from the game. I even found the last radio transponder and saw Hobo Jim ascend to the cosmos. But there are also these underlining aspects of the game that many people didn't acknowledge or even just simply dismissed. As with nearly every Rockstar release, Bully was shrouded in controversy. The irony of the controversy of a violent school game wasn't lost on Rockstar. The game was no different from anything that had been done in The Simpsons or other college-related media, but since it was a video game, and it was Rockstar, the media spin was likening it to a Columbine simulator. But Rockstar were nifty buggers when it came to underlining jokes about the status quo of high school, college life. The concept of social status or perception is parodied to the point of clear insults to actual groups in society. For instance, there was an achievement for kissing 20 gens. Now this achievement was actually difficult because how dare a game not only dip into violent school activities, but also open acts of homosexuality. But it actually took me a while before I found out who it was that I had to find to get a kiss from. It was one of the stereotype bullies you meet at the very beginning of the game. One of those schoolmates who is constantly picking on the nerds or other students whenever you walk around the school. For 2006, you know how ingenious this joke is? Sure, 13 Reasons Why terribly illustrates this with mop handles, but this game literally spelt it out that these bullies were acting out as a means of frustration due to their confused sexual nature. And in the end, not only do you find out a way of giving this guy a kiss, but it rewards you with some achievement points. 'Cause in the end, that's all that matters, right?
Thanks for watching the video. My name is Nitz, and you might remember me from the animated cult classic TV show Undergrads. It's been a while, but I'm happy to say the clique is finally getting back together in an all-new movie, thanks to a successful Kickstarter campaign. But we are still asking for your support. To see any and all updates about the upcoming Undergrads movie, be sure to check out and like the Bring Back Undergrads Facebook page. And with any luck, we'll see you guys soon.